The little boy's voice cracked through the chaos of the dusty street, his small frame shaking as tears streaked down his dirt-stained cheeks. "They broke my toy, and hit my mom," he sobbed, clutching a bent piece of plastic, a broken red truck that once had wheels but now only carried pain. Around him, a group of bikers had stopped, engines still rumbling like thunder beneath the heavy afternoon sun. For a heartbeat, silence hung thick in the air. Then, one of the men removed his helmet, scarred face, gray eyes, and looked down at the boy with something burning in his chest that wasn't anger, it was memory. Without a word, he turned to the others and said, "Mount up." The engines roared louder. The child blinked, confused, as the bikers swung onto their seats and turned their steel beasts toward the factory down the road, the same factory where the men who had hit his mother worked, and that's where it began, the day a broken toy and a child's tears lit a fire in the hearts of those long-fought cold. The day had started like any other for little Ayan. His mother, Sana, had kissed his forehead before leaving for the small textile factory where she worked 12-hour shifts to earn enough for rent and food. Ayan always waited for her by the dusty roadside, playing with the red toy truck his late father had given him. It was old and faded, but to him, it was everything. It was the last piece of his father, the only thing he had left that still carried laughter of the factory, though, wasn't a place of kindness. The manager, a man named Malik, was known for his cruelty. The workers feared him, they said his heart was made of metal and his tongue of poison. Sana had endured him quietly, never speaking back, even when he yelled or threw things. But that day, Ayan had run into the factory gates after hearing his mother scream. He saw Malik standing over her, his hand raised. And then, in the chaos of his mother trying to shield him, Malik had kicked Ayan's truck out of his hands, shattering it against the wall. "Get that brat out of here." Malik had barked, before striking Sana so hard she fell. That's when the child's cry echoed through the narrow lanes, drawing the attention of the bikers who had been parked nearby. They weren't saints, they were men with scars, tattoos, and pasts they never spoke of. They called themselves the Iron Hawks, known once for street fights and rebellion. But their leader, Rayhan, had turned them toward something else, helping people who couldn't help themselves. When Rayhan saw Ayan's tears and the broken toy, something inside him cracked. He'd lost his own son years ago, in an accident that had left him empty. Maybe that's why he couldn't walk away this time. He crouched down and lifted the boy's chin. "Who did this, champ?" Ayan sniffed. "The men, from the factory." Rayhan looked at the others, Khalid, the quiet one, Junaid, the joker with a soft heart, and Samra, the only woman among them, who had joined the group after escaping an abusive marriage. They didn't need words. They all felt it, the same surge of protective fury. "Let's ride," Rayhan said. The road to the factory was a blur of noise and dust. Workers looked up as the thunder of engines drew near. The Iron Hawk stopped at the gate, and Rayhan dismounted, his boots hitting the ground with purpose. Malik stepped out, his arrogance barely hiding his fear. "This is private property," Malik sneered. "Who are you people?" Rayhan walked closer, his eyes cold. "We're the ones who came for the boy's mother." The workers began to gather, whispering. Malik laughed nervously. "You don't know what you're getting into. This woman works for me. She made a mistake." Rayhan's fist flew before the words finished leaving his mouth. Malik stumbled back, blood at the corner of his lip. "You made the mistake," Rayhan said, voice low. "You hit a woman. You broke a child's heart." The bikers didn't raise weapons. They didn't need to. Their presence alone was enough to make the ground tremble. Rayhan turned to the workers. "How long will you let men like him treat you like this?" A silence spread, heavy and thick. Then one woman spoke. "He takes our pay when he feels like it." Another added, "He locks us in when we try to leave early." The truth spilled out like water breaking through a dam. Rayhan glanced back at Sana, standing behind the gate with her arm bruised and her eyes wide. "You don't have to live afraid anymore," he said. That night, news spread across town. The factory workers had walked out, demanding justice, led by a group of bikers who refused to back down. Malik was arrested after multiple testimonies came forward. The factory was shut for investigation, but the story didn't end there. A week later, Rayhan visited Ayan and Sana. He handed the boy a new red truck, bigger, shinier, but Ayan just looked up at him with wide eyes and whispered, "I like my old one better." Rayhan smiled softly and knelt. "Then let's fix it together." They sat outside the small home, the sun setting behind them, soldering the broken wheels and mending what had been lost. For the first time in years, Rayhan laughed. Sana watched quietly, a warmth in her heart she hadn't felt since her husband died. Life didn't change overnight, but something had shifted, both for the factory workers and for the bikers who'd long thought they had no more good left in them. Months later, the Iron Hawks started a new mission, helping children of workers, giving them books, toys, and school supplies. They rode not for glory, not for fear, but for hope, and every time Rayhan rode past the small lane where it all began, he'd see Ayan waving that little red truck in the air, smiling like the world had finally given him back what it once took away, because sometimes, the smallest cries ignite the loudest change. And on that day, one child's broken toy reminded a group of hardened souls what it truly meant to fight for something worth saving. Rayhan didn't sleep that night. The echo of Ayan's voice still rang in his ears, the raw pain, the innocence, the fear. He'd seen pain before, plenty of it. But something about that boy had struck deeper, like a reminder of the son he once lost. He sat outside the small workshop that served as the Iron Hawk's base, cigarette burning between his fingers, the moonlight casting shadows across the dusty ground. Around him, his crew talked in low murmurs. Samra patched up a tear in her jacket. Junaid scrolled through his phone, playing a sad old song. Khalid leaned against his bike, silent as always, his mind far away. Rayhan finally spoke. "We helped one family today. But how many more are still trapped in that hell?" Samra looked up. "You mean the factory?" He nodded. "That one, and the others. They think just because these people are poor, they can treat them like machines." Khalid muttered, "We can't fight everyone, Rayhan. We're not some heroes." Rayhan exhaled a stream of smoke. "Maybe not. But someone's got to start." The next morning, Sana found them again. Her arm was bandaged, but she stood tall, her son holding her hand tightly. "They're threatening us," she said quietly. "The factory owner's brother sent men last night. They told us to withdraw the police complaint or they'll take everything we have." Rayhan's jaw tightened. "They came to your house?" She nodded. "We didn't sleep. Ayan was so scared." The little boy tried to act brave, hiding behind his mother's shawl. Rayhan knelt down beside him. "Hey, champ. You did good. You were brave that day."